Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week, I wanted to talk about kind of my personal experience in 2021 so far, mainly focusing on just living beyond the idea of working for commissions. As many of you probably know, back in 2016, 2017, I really overloaded myself on the number and complexity of commissions that I was working on, and really that stuck with me until the end of 2020 when I finished up the Maker's Eden Act 3. I was really focused on just working with as many people as possible, and in some way I was kind of validating my artistic career with the thought that if people needed me to do stuff for them and were willing to pay me for it, then that validated the work that I was doing. And well, it was great and it was nice, and I made new friends and I made a decent amount of money and all that other stuff. Well, not a decent. I made an okay amount of money, but I realized that I wasn't really focusing on myself and my own creative endeavors. Like, the only thing that I was really working on for me was the 2-hour track challenge, and I wanted to change that. And in 2020, at the end of it, I spent my Christmas break knocking out the rest of the commissions that I had to do. And the last one, fittingly, was the Maker's Eden Act 3. The Maker's Eden was also the project that got me into working on music for games and other media. So it was kind of a nice little bookend to that. And in 2021, I kind of started the year with a clean slate and not really a whole lot of ideas on what I wanted to do with that. The first thing that I did was I continued the 2-hour album challenge. I ran that, and then the thing that I started right after that is the game jam, the OST jam, and both of those were huge successes. And I'm looking forward to April when I'm going to do them again. And I've just been trying to find kind of my place in the creative world right now. It's really kind of weird to think that I don't have to do anything. Nobody's like waiting on me to finish a song or to complete a project. There's no real deadlines. And honestly, like, that gives me a lot of anxiety. When I was much younger, I had a job doing e-learning modules. I did e-learning modules for like Sears and Cabela's, excuse me, and all these other major retailers. But after that, I got into doing e-learning for a healthcare company. And that's great. I'm kind of meandering to the point here. I had 3 bosses who all like to micromanage me in different ways. And I found that if I had an empty to-do list, if I had finished all my tasks for the day, I tended to either get in trouble or they just gave me more work. So I tend to have a lot of anxiety when I have an empty to-do list these days. And honestly, like, having that huge backlog of projects from 2017 to 2020 was kind of my safety net for that anxiety. And now it's coming back a little bit because I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I have my Trello board that I try to keep full, but that's not like a daily to-do list, like something that I'm focused on a day-to-day basis. And like today, my to-do list was go grocery shopping and vacuum my studio and try to finish up some of my taxes. And it's just like, it's so weird to have all of these non-creative tasks on my list that are still important. But I just have to focus on, things that aren't work to make sure that I'm not getting antsy. And I think that not having to deal with commissions has been a really good thing for me, though, in the long run, because I'm able to focus more on the things that I like to do. I am still working on Pandemonium. I'm hoping to finish that by the end of the month. I am working on getting more asset packs out there. I want to get something on the Unity asset store as well as itch.io. And I want to just continue exploring what I can do creatively, because I have the flexibility to do that now. And I didn't really have that before, because when I had my creative time, I was working on somebody else's project and not my own. And that got really difficult after a while. So I don't know. I'm surviving, I guess is the short version of this living beyond commissions thing. I'm surviving, but it's surprisingly more difficult than I thought it would be. Where it's just like you think about like what you're going to do on vacation, and you think about, oh, I'm going to sit around and I'm not going to do anything and have all this other stuff going. And then it's just like you get bored and you want to do stuff and you want to keep moving. And I do want to keep moving, but I want to do it at my pace and on my terms. And when I was working on commissions, that was not necessarily possible. And that's really the big reason why I turned down the opportunity for working on music for brands. Even though it pays really well, like you have really tight deadlines. You have customers that are almost always hyper detail oriented, or they just don't necessarily know what they want, but they want something. And I just want to avoid that kind of environment now. And I just want to focus on my own stuff. And I'm liking where it's going. The Patreon specific album, the Patreon exclusive album, should be out at the start of April, as well as, like I said, Pandemonium will be done. And I'm just kind of looking through my thing right now. In April, I want to start working on my ebook again. And like, I have all these projects that have been in the back of my head for so long, and I can actually invest some time in getting them out there now. And that's just really great. I'm really happy to be able to do this. So I'm just, when I realize that I'm repeating myself, I think that's when the episode ends. So I'm going to get going, but thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter, and thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. In a large part, your support is what helps me be able to not have to do work on commissions anymore. And I can just focus on the things that I like to do. And that means a huge amount to me. So thank you so much for your support. I will talk to you next week. Have a good weekend. Be remarkable.